Welcome to Alaskwatch, the show all about Bigfoot in the great state of Alaska. I'm your host, Beans Baxter. So lace up your boots, zip up your coat, and come with me on an adventure as we explore all things cryptid in the last frontier. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Alaskwatch, coming to you on a very kind of a wet, blustery, and foggy autumn afternoon. Hope everybody's doing good out there. As the title suggests, I have an interesting story for you guys. Some of you that follow me on social media might know what I'm talking about. Going to get to it in just here in a little bit. First, just want to give a quick update. It's getting colder, dropping down in the 30s at night. I think I woke up this morning, it was 39. A couple days ago, I think it got down to 35. I think my lawn mowing days are over for the year. It's about time to take the battery out of the lawnmower, get it stored, and put the snowplow on the four-wheeler. And I may need to buy a new battery for the four-wheeler. I tried to start the other day, and it wouldn't start. Hooked it up to the battery charger, and it started, but I have been very bad about going out to see if it'll still start again. So if it's not holding the charge, I'm probably going to have to get a new battery, which I think I've had it for about 4 or 5 years. So that's probably about right. But this would mean I've had to change the battery in the lawnmower and the four-wheeler in the same year. So from now on, I know that when I need to change the battery in one, I should probably just get a battery for the other. Our oldest dog, I'm going to tell this story about the dog real quick, and then we'll get into it. Our oldest dog, who you might hear here in a little bit in this broadcast, he is 9 years old. He's about to be 10, which is pretty good for a French bulldog. Actually, he's a French ton. He's not 100% Frenchy. So he's slowing down, and every Tuesday and Thursday, the dogs get picked up by a service that takes them out and takes them for a walk, plays with them. Excuse me. And man, I've still got that thing with my throat going on. So he's starting to slow down, and the lady that takes him out for a walk, she mentioned it to us. She's like, look, he's really slowing down. He's having a hard time keeping up. He wants to go back early before we're done with the walk, and we're having a hard time keeping him. Sorry, there was a Stellar J outside my window there, and he kind of startled me. We're having a hard time keeping him with the rest of the group of dogs, because there's like a whole group. There's like, I think there's like 6 Frenchies that goes sometimes, because we have a friend up the road that has some French bulldogs, and like hers go with them. So at some points there's like 6 French bulldogs in this walking group. We call them the Frenchie Mafia. So anyway, the lady's like, Bubbles isn't keeping up. He's having a hard time. He's getting kind of old. It might be time to retire him from group walks. And they offered us an option, like, well, how about he just goes 1 day a week now instead of both days? So we're like, okay. So today is the first day that he's not going to go. The other 2 dogs are going to go, and he's not going to go. And I'm not sure how he's going to feel about it. I know I'm talking about my dog's feelings. I know that. And that's when the Alaskwatch knew he had reached rock bottom. And so he is going to stay home today when the other 2 go out. And I've got a little surprise for him. I'm going to do something. This is, I know some of you guys are like, this is so freaking cheesy. He, over the last few months, he has been obsessed with this squirrel that's been hanging around on our deck. I put up a bird feeder a few months ago, and the birds, they knock the seeds down, and the squirrel's been coming on the porch and getting the seeds that the birds have knocked down. And then I got to putting like peanuts out for the squirrel, and the squirrel would come and get the nuts. And Bubbles likes to sit on the back of the couch and watch the squirrel. And he hates the squirrel. He barks at the squirrel. He doesn't want the squirrel around. There's been a couple of times when the squirrel was up on the railing of the porch. I would like open the door so Bubbles could run out and the squirrel would run away. Bubbles would get to chase him, but he's safe. He's up on the railing. The dog and Bubbles isn't. I mean, he's freaking 9 years old. He's not going to catch the squirrel. So today, the other two dogs are going to go to group, and we bought a squirrel toy, a plushy squirrel, and I am going to sneak it out there on the deck and put it down on the ground where Bubbles can get it. And after the other two dogs leave for group, I'm going to get him riled up. I'm going to be like, oh my God, this squirrel's out there. This squirrel's out there. And then I'm going to open the door and he's going to catch the squirrel. He's finally going to catch the squirrel. And I'm going to try and get it on film. I'm going to try and film it all. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm hoping that he runs out there and grabs the squirrel and the fake squirrel, the stuffed squirrel, and shakes it and then just like prances around like he's king shit of Turtle Island. I don't know. I'm a little worried he's going to be scared of it and he's not actually going to get it. So we'll see what happens. I'll try to film it. I got to remember to grab my my little gimbal for my phone so that I can get it recorded. But that's the plan for today when he doesn't get to go to group. So hopefully he enjoys that. Hopefully it doesn't watch him keel over from a heart attack when he sees a squirrel. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. It feels like it's kind of silly. It feels like Christmas morning. Like I can't wait. I can't wait for the other dogs to go so that we can do it. So hopefully it takes his mind off not being able to go to group. And he's going to get to finally catch the squirrel. So that story, that boring, is it a long boring story or a short boring story? You tell me. We're 7 minutes in. That pointless story out of the way. I'm going to tell you guys about what's been going on here for the last couple of days. It's like when my wife gets home from her job and I've been dealing with the dogs all day. And I'm like, do you want to know what happened here while you were at your job? These little terrors were driving me crazy. So what's been going on here is, oh, geez, what night was it? So it would probably been Monday night. We're getting ready to go to bed. It's like 10 o'clock, 10 p.m.-ish. And I'm sure I've mentioned it before. We have a security system. I feel like, when you work in law enforcement, especially in a small town, I almost feel like you have to have some kind of security system with cameras. Because in a small town, everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows where you live. And if they don't, they can find out really, really easy. So we've always had a security system pretty much since we've lived here. And we've kept up on it. It's pretty invaluable, really. There's nothing like being like not at home and being able to look and see that everything is okay at home. It's very comforting. And also if there's any issues, I need to call somebody to go deal with that. So anyway, we were getting ready to go to bed Monday night. And sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes there's a little bit of delay. We get notifications from the security system. Like if any of you that have like a Ring camera, hi, Harley girl, or anything like that, that you can set it up to detect things and send you a little notification. And of course, we have that that turned on. So Monday night, I'm literally walking. I'm at the foot of the bed. I can't remember if I was brushing my teeth. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm going through my nightly routine, putting on my face mask. I don't have a face mask. I'm joking, but I'm going through my nightly routine, getting ready to go to bed. And it's more of a cream. And I look, my phone is sitting on my dresser, and I have it set. I do every night. That's the greatest thing about not being a cop anymore. I have it set on do not disturb. So nobody can call me, nobody can text me except for a couple of people. I do have like some people that can bypass the do not disturb and it'll come through. And the security system is one of those. So I'm sitting there at the foot of the bed, getting ready to go to bed. I look over and I see my phone light up and it's a security notification. And I'm thinking like, well, we had just came inside from taking the dogs out the potty. We always take the dogs out the potty before we go to bed. And I'm thinking, oh, it's just delayed. It's a delayed, the internet was lagging or something. And now, like 2 or 3 minutes later, we're getting the notification. Cause sometimes that'll happen where we drive out of the driveway and then we get like almost out of the neighborhood. And then we get a notification that says like vehicle detected. And I'm like, oh, who's in our driveway? And it was us leaving. So it's a delayed notification. So I almost didn't even pick it up. I was like, oh, it's just us being outside from taking the dogs out to potty. And I'm like, just because you're not paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. I'm gonna look at it. It's just gonna take a second, and then I can put my fears to rest. Like it's not a big deal. It's better to check on it than to not check on it and not know. So I pick up my phone and hit the notification. Opens up, and what it does when it does that, it cuts to like the live feed, and so I can see my front. I'm going to show you guys here in a minute, but um, it cuts to my front porch, and all I can see is on the left side. There's like a shadow, and I can tell it's pretty big, and I can't tell what it. It's like it's just there's something moving either on my porch or just in front of my porch, off to the left, which is where my driveway is. So I'm thinking that's either a bear or a person. I couldn't really tell. It was just a big black shadow. And for whatever reason, like I didn't think moose. Like I've been telling you guys, our yard has been lousy with moose like the last few days, a couple of weeks actually. And this was not moose. And so I'm like, okay, something's going on down there. And I'm like, I could have like rewound it and I would have seen, but I wasn't. One, I didn't want to take the time to do that, and two, I didn't realize that. I just thought it was detecting it over there, but it actually had been in front of the camera at one point. So I get the pistol off the nightstand because that's all I have upstairs, and I tell my wife, keep the dogs in the bedroom. There's something on the porch, and so I close the bedroom door and I head downstairs, and of course I'm trying to be all like tactical and stuff, and like cutting the corner, and I'm like, it's black, it's pitch black outside. They could be standing right in front of the door, and I wouldn't know. So I'm like, there's all I can do is go up and turn the light on to see, like the typical, like, is anyone there? Like that's all I can do. Like at this point, like there's no like sneaking up on anybody out there. I got to come down the stairs, which is in plain view of the windows and stuff. And I'm probably backlit from like the kitchen light and stuff. So I just finally, I'm like, screw, Leroy Jenkins, run down the stairs, flip on the porch light, and there in front of the house is a chonky boy. And he is just a big black poof ball of a bear. I'm guessing he's probably about 300 pounds. He may be, or she, I'm not sure, but we'll call him he for brevity's sake. I'm guessing it's about 300 pounds. It is, he's getting ready to go to bed. He's looking for snacks. Big old boy, chonky. So I unlock the door, I open the door, I step on the porch. I'm like, in my best, like, Southern accent, I'm like, go on, get up on out of here. And as soon as the door's even open, the bear is running away. So I kind of sat there and I can hear him like, he's like crashing through the brush and shit. And so I didn't think that much about it. It just, we don't usually, but that's the thing. Like bears, we've lived here for a long time, and we've had maybe two incidents with bears. One was a bear, man, it might be the same bear for all I know. A bear was trying to get into our garage once. uh, we didn't have proper lock on the garage. We'd just moved in, and the man door, didn't have a uh, doorknob or uh, deadbolt. And I just, for just to secure the door, I just had like a bungee cord like wrapped through the hole where the doorknob goes, and I had it like clipped onto the door frame. Real, like just jerry rigged. The squirrel's outside the window now. Thank God Bubbles can't see him. So maybe it's a squirrel and the Stellar J will fight. So we had a bear trying to push the door open to get inside because we keep the garbage in the garage. So that was one. And then the other one was about 4 years ago. I think it was during 2020, maybe during 2021. I think it was 2021. It was when we did the Denali. We won the Denali Road Lottery, and we were gone. We left. I think we were gone for 2 days, and we, or maybe it was just overnight. I can't really remember. We were gone. We weren't home, and a bear came. Maybe the same bear came up onto the porch and basically was like looking in the house, and that was the second incident. And what's ironic is I don't remember when the bear trying to get into the garage happened, but I think it was around this time of year. I'm not 100% sure, but I know for a fact that the bear, while we were gone on to the Denali, I know for a fact that the bear trying to get or looking in the house on the porch was like almost to the day, like 2 or 3 years ago or 4 years ago to the day. Um, that this happened. So it's kind of, I'm thinking it's probably the same bear. And for whatever reason, it must run some kind of circuit or have a pattern. And right around this time of year is when he comes by my house for whatever reason. But most of the time, like usually we see our neighborhood bear about once a year, and it's usually very fleeting. Uh, he walks across the backyard, he walks across the driveway. Um, he's walking through the neighbor's yard. We see him, on my trail camera, something like that. He's not usually, I kind of have a rule like I don't mind the wildlife in the backyard. It's fine. Like it's wild back there. That's where they're supposed to be. When they start getting in the front yard and on the porch and stuff, that's kind of the no-go area. Well, it got a little different. it got a little weird. He's pushing boundaries. So I ran him off that first night. He ran off into the woods. I didn't really think that much about it. Whatever, he's gone. Just one of those Alaska things, right? So we go to bed the next day, normal. Next night, go to bed. I'm sawing logs. I had a hard time falling asleep. I'm sawing logs, and about 6 o'clock in the morning, my wife wakes me up, which is usually, I said it's unusual because usually I'm the one that wakes up for strange noises. Like she could sleep through a dump truck going through a nitroglycerin factory, if you get that reference. And I'm the one that's like, what was that noise? Um, but she woke me up because she heard it. So I must have been sleeping deep. Although she will tell you those roles are reversed, but I disagree. And so she wakes me up and she's like, "Hey, that bear's back." She goes, "I heard a thump on the back porch, and it was I saw it on the front camera about 10 minutes ago." So I get up and stagger downstairs, And instead, I don't even take the pistol this time, and I go straight to the storage unit where I keep this thing and get the shotgun. And I don't get my Marine Magnum, my little shotgun. I get my big shotgun, my Remington 870, because it has a flashlight on the pump on the grip. So because it's still dark outside, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning and it's still pitch black. So I turn the light on and I look as far as I can to the right and I don't see anything. And I look, or I'm sorry, to the left, I don't see anything. I look to the right and I can't really see that much because the grill is in the way. And then like wall, I can't see. So I open the door and there is the bear. Pretty sure it's the same bear. Chonky Boy is like in the corner. And I think he's messing with the grill. On reflection, now that I look back on it, I almost wonder if he wasn't like hiding because he was almost like curled up in a little ball in the corner. Not little, a big ball, but curled up in a ball in the corner. And I start yelling at him, and he kind of huffs at me a little bit, but I can tell he's trapped. Like I'm between him and the way out, basically. So I retreat. I go back inside, shut the door, and he starts to leave. He walks by and he looks, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, like we're staring at each other through the glass of the door. And like I said, he's about 300 pounds. If he wanted to come through that glass door, he could have. And he goes and he's just kind of sauntering across the porch. So once he gets past the door, I open the door and I start, get on out, like I start, and he jumps up on the railing and jumps off the back of the porch, which it's probably like a 7 foot drop. And he hits the ground and that like boom, like I can feel it. And he takes off. And so I go back, I start looking around. There's stuff strewn all over the porch. He's made a mess. There is a little trash can out there, but it doesn't have food in it. It's just like cans and stuff. Like if we're sitting on the back porch drinking soda or something, we'll throw sodas in there. Or if we find some trash in the backyard, we'll put it in there. Sometimes stuff will blow off our top deck on the top of the garage, and we just put garbage in there. And it's really old garbage too, because like I said, we hardly ever put anything in there. So it never gets full, so I almost never empty it. So he's got that turned over. I don't think he found anything to eat in there, and I thought he was going after the grease trap on the grill. Now I'm looking back on it, I don't think maybe he was. I think maybe he just thought maybe there was, because I'm sure they get trained, like they find good stuff in trash cans, and now they want to look in all the trash cans. But I don't think he was actually messing with my grill. So anyway, that was pretty tense, and I'm like, can I, like now looking back on it, I was like, should I shot him? Like he wasn't really threatening me, but he was like messing with my stuff. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute, but I'm going to show you the video now of him on the front porch. I don't have any cameras yet on the back porch, although I am going to get some. So, sorry, dogs are snoring. So I'm going to show you this video. This is from him on the front porch. I'm going to show it to you a couple of times. It's only like 30 seconds long. This is from the second night, though. This is from when he got on the back porch and was going through my stuff. So this will give you an idea how big he was. So he's just kind of sniffing around and hear him make these sniffing sounds. And he's going to turn around here and he's going to look in the house because there's a glass door. I'm going to play it again. And you can hear, listen to his footfalls as he walks on that. It's just a normal, like wooden porch, wooden deck. You know, I weigh almost 300 pounds, and I don't make that sound when I walk on it. So that was Chonky Boy. And so this like freaks my significant other out. She is not a fan of bears. She does not like bears. She has uh, like one of her like bugaboos is bears and getting mauled. She doesn't like werewolves either. Something about getting mauled. It's not her thing. So this upsets her greatly. So the third night, so not last night, but the night before, um, when we went to bed, this was pretty funny. So I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, let's bring the grill in the house because we got rid of the garbage can out there. Not that there was anything in it that he would have been interested in, but I do understand like people would say like, well, you had the garbage can out there. Well, I know, but there wasn't anything in it but aluminum cans and maybe like some scraps of paper. But I understand. So we got rid of the garbage can, and we're getting ready to go to bed, and we wheel the um, grill inside in the middle of the kitchen, and uh, I put a trail camera out on the porch because I'm like, well, if he comes back and the grill's not there and there's nothing out there for him to make any noise on, it might not wake us up. And I wanted to know if he came back, so I set a trail camera up on the garage or on the porch, and as far as he did not come back the third night, so that was the 2 nights of terror. But before we go to bed, I forgot this part of the story. So we're like getting ready to go to bed, and she's like, "I'm going to barricade the door," and she takes this like um, end table that's got a bunch of books on it, and slides it over in front of the back door. This end table probably weighs 40 pounds maybe with all the books on it, and slides it in front of the door. And then she goes over to the front door, and we have this bench that you can set on, like put your shoes on and stuff. And she moves the bench over in front of the door, and she's like, "I'm going to barricade the door." No pun intended, barricade. And I thought that was hilarious because I'm like, if that bear wants in, he's going to get in, and there's nothing, nothing can stop him. At least not anything of that size. Like maybe if we put the gun safe in front of the door, that might stop him. But then he's got like all these windows he could easily pop in, especially in the basement. So anyway, he didn't come back the third night. And I forgot to mention, so after we had that tense standoff on the back porch, him and I came inside and I'm like, this is the second night in a row. It probably wouldn't hurt to document this with the authorities. So I call the police department, and somebody that I know answers, and I'm like, it's Beans. It's Beans. It's Who? It's Beans. Finally get them to realize who because it's true, folks. When you're in, you're a guest, and when you're out, you're a pest. And they could not have been more bothered by this phone call. I was like, hey, just let you know, we've got a black bear up here. He's been, messing around the last couple of nights. Tonight he got on my porch. It kind of escalated. He got on the porch and was messing around with the grill. And the first words out of the dispatcher's mouth was, well, you should call Fish and Game. And I'm like, well, Fish and Game isn't fucking open right now. And I just wanted it documented so that there is basically a paper trail that says this has been ongoing activity for 2 nights. And, just people do this all the time. And now it's a inconvenience to them because I called it shift change. So anyway, I'm like, I don't even know, like, I've never talked to Fish and Game before in my life other than like through like official work stuff, like I've never like called up Fish and Game and been like, hey guys. But it got me to thinking, and I'm like, maybe I should talk to Fish and Game, not necessarily about this, but all this activity got me to thinking about defensive life and property laws. And that's something that we have in Alaska. I'm sure a lot of other states probably have them too, especially like rural, like farmland states. I know in some places, like it gets pretty serious when you're dealing with like crops or livestock to the point where it, I'm sure it's not, not as bad, but it's like basically farmers can do whatever the hell they want to protect their crops and livelihood. So these are laws that are in place that allow people to protect themselves from wildlife and animals. And I was, it's been a while. I'm out of the game here about 4 years now. And I never really dealt with that stuff much anyway, because we worked in the town. There were a few instances where, I got some wildlife calls, and honestly, I've shot more moose than I can count on the side of the road that have got hit by cars and need to be put down. But I've never had to shoot a bear. And I've never really had much of an interest in bear hunting. I know Chuk is really into it, but I've never really been that into it. Uh, so I was like, I'm gonna like familiarize myself a little bit more with these defensive life and property laws. And so I looked them up, and we're gonna talk about them here in just a second. And I was thinking, like, I should probably reach out to Fish and Game and see if one of them wants to come on and talk about these kind of situations. So I didn't really have time to do. I was like, I was kind of in a time crunch where I'm like, man, I really want to put something out this Friday, but at the same time, I really want to talk about this because it's fresh in my mind and it just happened. Uh, and I don't want to like not talk about it and then have to talk about it like several months down the road when I can actually get maybe a Fishing Game guy to come on and talk about this kind of stuff. So hopefully we can do almost like a point counterpoint thing where I talk about my experience, and then we can have maybe a Fishing Game guy come on later and we'll talk a little bit about it. And he can say like, yeah, you would have been justified in shooting the bear. No, you wouldn't have, or blah, blah, blah. Uh, and this is coming from someone, like I know everybody take a drink. He's mentioning he was a cop again. Um, I was a police officer for a long time. I have been in situations where I would have been justified in shooting another person. There were at least a couple of times during my career where I could have shot someone and it would have been 100% justified. And I'm out here on my porch with this 300-pound bear about 8 feet from me, huffing at me, and going through my mind is, am I allowed to shoot this thing? Like, am I going to get in trouble if I shoot this thing? And it got me to thinking, like, man, would I? I don't know. So, like I said, I wanted to kind of refresh myself on the defensive life and property laws here in Alaska. So I looked them up. I'm gonna bring them up here, and we're gonna go through them. And hopefully, you guys can see them here. I'm sharing my screen. Um, so this is taken from I believe it's the Case Text website, and I just cut and pasted it here into a Word document. And it says nothing in 5 AAC. AAC is Alaska Administrative Code. Prohibits a person. This is and it's nothing in 5 AAC is referring to another law, but this is the law that we're talking about. Nothing in 5 AAC prohibits a person from taking game in defense of life or property if the necessity for the taking is not brought about by harassment or provocation of the animal or by unreasonable invasion of the animal's habitat. Now, I'm going to kind of talk about these elements. These are like where you see like 1, 2, 3. Those are elements of the law, of the statute. And we're going to kind of talk about them as we go through them one by one here. And one thing that struck me while I was looking at this is kind of how broad it is. Because on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that sounds reasonable. But on the other hand, I'm like, who's to say that, you're walking along a trail and a bear comes at you, or you step off a trail to relieve yourself, and a bear comes at you and you shoot it, and then they ask you, Fish and Game or whoever comes, the troopers, whoever comes to investigate it, is like, what happened? And you're like, oh well, I stepped off the trail to relieve myself, and this bear came at me, and I shot it. And then they're like, oh well, you got off the trail, so here's your summons or your ticket because you invaded the animal's habitat. You weren't on the trail. And a lot of people, I'm sure, are listening to this and being like, "Oh, come on, Beans, they wouldn't say that." I feel like they would, and I'm pretty sure they probably have. um, like I said, maybe we can get like a counterpoint on here to talk about that from maybe an actual Fish and Game guy. But really, when you read these laws, it kind of comes down to the discretion of the officer or the investigating authority of this incident. Number two, the necessity for taking is not brought about by the improper disposal of garbage or similar attractive nuisance. And that's the one I get hung up on a lot because, like I said, I had a trash can on the deck. There wasn't any food in it. It was aluminum cans, uh, scraps of paper, maybe a couple old broken dog toys or something, stuff that had been in the backyard, some plastic, like a bucket that had broken, like a little bucket, nothing in there that would, in my mind, attract a bear. Yeah, we are kind of bear conscious up here where we live. Um, and again, who's to say if I had shot Chonky Boy and Fish and Game or a trooper had arrived to investigate and they saw the trash can out there, then they would have been like, "Oh, you should have had trash out here." And again, it would be my fault. It would be my problem. Um, Number three, if all other practicable, shouldn't it just be practical? Practicable means to protect life and property are exhausted before the game is taken. Taken in defense of life or property is the property of the state. A person taking game under this subsection shall immediately salvage and surrender to the department hide and skull of bear completely removed from the carcass and including all attached claws, hide and skull of fur animals or fur bearers, meat and antlers or horns of ungulates, meat and all other game not specified. Notify the department of the taking and submit to the department completed questionnaire concerning the circumstances of taking the game within 15 days after taking the game. As used in this section, property means a dwelling, permanent or temporary, an aircraft, boat, automobile, or other conveyance, or a domesticated animal. Other property of substantial value necessary for the livelihood or survival of the owner. So this is one that I get hung up on a lot. I have a kind of a problem with this because it says if you shoot an animal, it becomes property of the state. Now, one, the state wasn't here to protect my property. I was, I shot this animal. Um, and if it destroyed my property, I feel I should be entitled to the meat and fur, and I should be entitled to the animal as compensation for the destruction of my property. Or, I mean, just think about it. If the bear is coming at you, like he's going to kill you, and maybe he even like hurts you, and then you kill him, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, this is going to look good sitting in the a case in the front office." It's like, man, I bled for that. Like, I'm not going to get to keep it. However, on the other hand, I understand completely why it is that way. I do understand that if they allowed you to keep animals you killed in self-defense, people would just be going out. I mean, it would be like South Park. It's coming right for us. And everything that was trophy worthy, I'm using quote fingers, every animal that was trophy worthy would be a ravenous, killing machine that had to be killed and taken right then and there. So I understand why it is that way, although I don't quite agree with it. And I wonder maybe if and when we get somebody from Fish and Game on here to talk about it. I wonder maybe if there aren't occasions where they're like, yeah, okay, dude, you could, we took a look at the skull and stuff, and you can have it, like here you go, like, you know, kudos to you for surviving that. And I wonder if there is a way, say you have chicken, like one of my neighbors has chickens up the hill here. I hear them all the time. I'm assuming they probably put them up at night, but I don't know for sure. I mean, they have to, right? Because there's like coyotes and foxes and everything else around here. Uh, but what if that bear gets in and like kills all that dude's chickens? And whether he kills the bear or not, let's just say he doesn't kill the bear. The bear gets in, kills all the chickens, and takes off. I wonder if there's something he can fill out with Fish and Game to get reimbursed for those chickens, or if he's just a SOL. Because I feel like I've heard about something like that where you can, if a game animal because basically all wild animals they're not wild, they belong to the state technically, and if you kill it, it belongs to the state unless you have hunting license during hunting season, and then it belongs to you unless the state says it doesn't, and then they take it anyway. So I'm kind of curious whether or not there is a way to get reimbursed for damaged property. Because Chonky Boy did not really damage any of my property, but he very well could have. And that's another thing, like the grill. Like, who doesn't have a freaking grill on their back porch or in the yard or maybe next to the garage, or like, would that be considered an attractive nuisance? Like, would they just, if I had to shoot Chonky Boy, would they be like, oh, you shouldn't have your grill out there? Don't know what to tell you. Like, you should keep your grill in your house next to your TV and Xbox. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm curious. Like I said, it probably comes down at the end of the day to the discretion of the investigating authority. Now, granted, when if you get cited for a crime, you will eventually have a day in court, and maybe the judge will be reasonable. Your Honor, like, it's a grill. Where else am I supposed to, like? Where else am I supposed to keep it? Like, what else am I supposed to do with it? Like, do you have a grill on your back porch, Your Honor? And if the judge does, then you're probably going to get off. But yeah, I'm curious about that, and I'm curious if anybody listening to this has had a DLP shooting. I'd be curious to know about your experience, and so let me know. Maybe we can do a show about it, and then I can maybe do a show with a Fish and Game guy. Although I've got a feeling Fish and Game may not be willing to come on and talk. We'll see. It'll probably be one of those things where, like, we've got to get approval from the state, and then they drag their feet, and then maybe they say yes, maybe they say no, and then they give you, like, half hour or something to ask some questions, or maybe they'll want the questions in advance, which I don't have a problem with doing. I do that a lot of times. If I'm going to interview somebody, I'll just send them, like, here is some questions I want to ask you. Let me know if you have any issues with that, and if you have any questions you want me to ask you, please let me know. I always feel like that's fair when you go into an interview situation like that. Speaking of interviews and speaking, I am going to be talking at the Trail Tales at the Anchorage Museum on October 15th. I believe it starts at 7 p.m. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to be speaking, and I may have some stuff for sale. I'm not sure. I'm still sorting through the vending stuff with that. I didn't think it was going to be that type of event, but then I got an email saying it might be. So I may be there, Anchorage 15th, 7 p.m. I'm going to get up and talk a little bit, and hopefully some other people will talk and tell their Bigfoot stories. I believe if you go to the website, you can sign up. And if you're listening to this on the audio format, I will definitely put a link to that in the show notes if I can find it. What else? I think we're about done. We talked about Chonky Boy. Chonky Boy's still out there. I don't know if he's coming back or not. He didn't come back last night. I left the trail cameras on, and it's been raining like constantly. So if he came through, I think I would see his little footy prints on the deck. So I am I'm not standing down, but I am cautiously optimistic that he has moved on and hopefully won't be back to bother us this year. But 2 nights in a row is a little, um, it's a little different modus operandi from him. You usually, like I said, we only see him once a year. Almost never has he like messed with anything around the house. He's never like touched anything, although he did get on the deck. If it's the same one, which if it is the same one, he's probably getting a little on in years now. And that's when they can start causing problems. They get a little old, a little slow, kind of like Bubbles here. And they don't have stuffed squirrels to chase. They've got to chase easy game like trash cans and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated on Chunky Boy. Hopefully he doesn't come back. I certainly don't want to have to shoot him, and I don't want to deal with that rigmarole. Um, if it gets to the point where he tries to get in the house, I mean, obviously, you know what I'm going to do. Um, but we'll see. I don't think so. He's looked in the house at least a couple of times now, but I don't think he's shown any interest in coming in. Somebody asked one of my buddies I was texting about it said asked if he was driving the dogs crazy, and I was like, well, it's kind of interesting. I don't think the dogs. I mean, I know the dogs have smelled him. Like when we went outside the day after he was like on the porch and stuff, like both porches, like the dogs were like sniffing and sniffing. Like they definitely smell him. I don't know if they know what he is, but they definitely smell it. And that video that I showed you guys earlier, where he's kind of standing off to the left of the camera, and you hear him like like taking a big breath. One of the dogs had came outside and he was really excited, and he kind of peed on the porch there. So that makes me wonder, is that why he keeps coming around? Because he smelled. Because I thought stuff like that was supposed to keep bears away. In fact, I've always been told like when you go to camp, if when you got to take a leak, like try and pee like around, around your camp, create a perimeter of pee around your camp. It'll keep the bears away. And I don't know, like maybe he smells that, and instead of thinking like, oh, maybe he's like, this is a little dog, and it'd make a good snack. So I'm gonna keep coming back. So I don't know. He seems to be mostly nocturnal, although if it's the same one, I have seen him in the daytime a couple of times, just not like close to the house. I don't know. It was interesting when we went on that trip to Denali, and he came. If it was the same one, he came and like got up on the porch and was looking in the house because um, we almost never like leave the house for very long. Almost never overnight. Not both of us. Maybe one of us will go somewhere and then the other one will watch the dogs. It's very rare when we take a trip and the house is unoccupied. It doesn't have a dog sitter or somebody coming to check on it. And that was just one of the moments when it was just a quick trip up to Denali and back, and nobody was here, and he picked that time to come up on the porch and sniff around. And I wonder, it makes me wonder why, like what's going through his mind. Was it just like, oh, this is just the time and place for that, or was he like, oh, they're gone, let's go see what we can find up there. So it's interesting. Maybe it has some. I'm sure it probably has something to do with scent, because bears are all about scent. Maybe our since we've been gone for a couple of days, our scent wasn't as strong, so he felt emboldened to come closer. I don't know, but then again, we've been here for the last. In fact, we were just outside the first night when I ran him off with a pistol. We had just been outside like not even 5 minutes before. We came inside. Excuse me. Went straight upstairs. Was going through our bedtime routine, and I got the notification. And I didn't even think it was an actual notification. I thought it was a delayed notification from when we were just outside like 5 minutes ago. So I don't know. Guys. It's interesting. Like I said, we'll keep you informed if anything more happens with the saga of Chonky Boy. Hopefully he goes off and hibernates and has a good winter. He certainly looks like he could make it through the winter. He was a big old ball of floof, and he looks like he's ready to go to bed. and he might be a little grumpy, and that's why he is hanging around Beans' house. Harley's sawing some logs over there. Anyway, guys, we're gonna call it good there. Trail Tales, please try and come and check me out. Check it out. I mean, I'll be there. You can check me out if you want to. And I think that's about it, guys. I feel like there was um, the airing of the grievances. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's gonna be awesome this year. I've got stories, girlfriend. It's gonna be awesome. But you're gonna have to wait for that. All right, guys. Have a good one and be safe out there. Watch out for the big bad bears because they're out there and they're gonna get you. And be careful.